What's going on today, adventurers? I got a pretty interesting project for you guys. Just got this cool box in from Cotswold Collectables. I'm still waiting on the order I placed a long time ago. I'm assuming there's one item I pre-ordered in there that's taking way longer than what I thought, but I'm a patient man. So in the meantime, I had to place another order. So let's get this out and check it out. Got the invoice here. This box off to the side. All right, so I went ahead and ordered, got a couple body part portions I needed, but we'll throw those off to the side as well. I got the Art Lab Design Cryo Tank. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Randall Wall. Randall does the Art Lab paper construction projects. I'm familiar with Randall primarily from back on my days on Facebook before I made my mass exodus, because forget it, won't go into that detail. Anyways, Randall is a very talented artist and designer, and he does these really cool cardboard projects. He used to put stuff out there for free on Facebook, and this is where I got this paper power generator crate that I did of his a while back. But anyways, I decided to pull the trigger on one of these cryo tanks that Cotswold sells. Now, full disclosure, these aren't very cheap. These are around $79.99. And before I bought this, I reached out to some people who had purchased paper construction projects from Cotswold that were done by Randall to just see what the level of difficulty was, and it was pretty much all over the spectrum, as you'd expect. So I decided to buy this because I need it for a project, and I was going to just go ahead and do a real-time kind of assembly of it, just a video, because I think it's important for people to know that these products out there, what they're really like, and what your level of skill needs to be to do these. I'm going to give you an honest review of it, and if I think it's garbage, I'm going to tell you it's garbage. If I think it's awesome, I'm going to tell you it's awesome. So I apologize to anybody if you're offended by this, if it doesn't turn out the way that we all want it to. But let's not go in with a negative attitude. So it comes with several different cardboard items, I think, that are all able to be disassembled and then assembled into the cryo tank. So what we'll do is we'll pause the video, and I'll pull all these out, and we'll take a look at all the pieces one by one. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, welcome back, guys. So I went through and took all this out of the package. And the first thing I did, obviously, was I looked at the detailed instruction sheet. And it's very, very detailed, and it's very, very user-friendly, as far as I can tell right now. But I think it's important to read through this at least twice to understand what's going on. Randall does a very good job of laying this all out. So, like I said, it's important to read through the directions. And now, admittedly, I'm not a guy who does does directions very well. If you talk to my wife, she'll tell you I don't do directions very well at all. And she's not lying. That's something I've been trying to overcome for almost 47 years. So all the parts are pretty simple. It comes with really nice board printed out items on a nice paper, gloss paper or semi-gloss paper with all the parts. So it's all laid out easily for you to find and assemble. It also is a light up mechanism similar to what you'd find on most of your Christmas lights or Halloween decorations. So that's cool as well. LED requires 2 AA batteries from what I can tell. So the first thing you should do is definitely read through these directions. And the directions basically tell you to have basic tools. So the basic tools we're going to need for this are good scissors, check. Matte knife or X-Acto blade, check. Ruler or straight edge, preferably a metal one, which I do have. A black marker, doesn't tell you what gauge, but I'm going to assume it should be a thin one. White craft glue and multi-purpose glue for gluing the lights, and then your 2 AA batteries for your lights as well. So the first thing it really tells you to do is lay out all the sheets and get acquainted with the pieces. Don't panic, it says. And it just gives you a lot of different step-by-step things to do as far as how to do your scoring of your lines and cut everything out. So I think it's really important, guys, to have a cutting board. So I don't presently have one of those. I'll get one, and we'll use it on this and make sure all this turns out the way we want it to turn out. So so I'll get a cutting board, and then we'll start laying all this out. I won't go through the whole thing step by step, but I'll cover some of the basics. So we'll be back in a bit when I locate my cutting board. All right, welcome back, guys. So a few things. We started out. I took my straight edge. I have this metal straight edge here, and I started to cut out all the pieces. Now, you could use a set of scissors to do this, but the problem I see with using scissors to cut something like this out is eventually you're going to have to use a razor knife for the interior cut pieces. But the problem with scissors is you're not going to get a really consistent cut line. So that's why I use the straight edge with a razor knife and take my time and cut it. Now, a few problems I've already ran into with this that I don't really like. First things first, if you're using a straight edge, make sure and put some tape on the bottom to keep any damage from happening to this, because this print that's on this cardstock tends to scrape a little bit, which I do not like that at all, actually. That's the first thing that I don't like about this. It can be damaged, so you have to take great care in doing this. So be aware of that. I've already kind of damaged a little bit of a spot, and I took my time doing this, so that's the first thing I see wrong with this particular type of construction. So just be aware to take care not to damage this stuff. So what I'm going to end up doing is cutting out all these pieces with a razor knife. It's going to take me a while because there's a lot. And then we'll come back and we can kind of start the general assembly of this construction of the cryo tank. So we'll be back in a bit with hopefully all these parts cut out and hopefully not damaged. Alright guys, welcome back. So I've cut out a lot of these pieces, and as I said earlier, there's some things I don't like about this kit. Another thing I absolutely don't like about this kit, and it irritates me, is the pieces that you get are folded. So you automatically have some damage to the pieces you're putting together. So like for instance, you know, this part is the fold line, so it looks like shit, and I don't like that either. Again, you know, I paid 80 bucks for this. I feel like these sheets should have been, I believe they're like 11 by 17. These sheets ought to have just been flat and packaged like that and sent on in like a bigger package, a rigid package, because the fold lines make absolutely no freaking sense at all. It's kind of, I think it's kind of shitty, but we'll see how it looks when I get it done. But I do not like that at all. So we'll pause the video and we'll keep cutting most of this out and come back and start trying to assemble this thing. All right, guys, welcome back. So I went ahead and managed to build a couple of the components to this cryo tank. Few things real quick right off the bat. I'm going to use, or have been using, contact cement to fasten all the pieces together. It recommended like school glue, but contact cement is far superior. One problem with contact cement is it's got a high risk, high reward factor to it. So there's there's really no room for error when you use it. So you just got to be really careful. I also have been using hot glue to fasten the lights. So those are done too. Like I mentioned earlier, here's the base unit that is complete. You can see the fold line from when it was packaged. I don't like that at all. That's just a downer, you know. It doesn't look good with the fold line. So I think that's something that they probably need to address in the future. The other thing I don't like is how the lights were mounted. It suggested cutting out the small holes for the lights. Hold on, let me pause the video. All right, welcome back. So it suggested cutting out the small holes for the lights. Here's the mount on the back. I used a two-sided tape, Gorilla Tape, to mount the battery unit. And then I used hot glue to mount each light head. It suggested all-purpose glue in the directions. I just used hot glue because it works well. So, but anyways, so in the directions they called for cutting the holes out. Now they also suggested doing like a star cut. It's kind of hard to see on camera. I did the star cut. Didn't work out real well. I should have went out and cut the holes out as best I could, because it doesn't look real good when you get the lights through there. So I'm gonna have to go back and figure out something to put around these lights to make it look a little better. We'll get through there. We'll get to that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Again, there's a fold line right here. I don't like that. It just looks shitty. But on the positive side, the directions are really simple to follow. All the pieces are laid out nicely. It's an easy process as long as you take your time, which I really appreciate the engineering behind this. It's easy to do, and it just takes time and patience. So other than some cosmetic things that I don't like about it, it's an okay set so far. It's a fun thing to build, actually. It's just, you know, we'll just talk about some of the things I don't really like about this when we're all finished. So I do have the base unit done, and I am working on the actual tank portion right now. As you can see, the best thing to do is to lay all your pieces out and then build each individual component one at a time. So that's where we're at right now in this cryo tank build. We'll be back with some more completed parts. All right, welcome back, guys. So here's where we're at right now. As you can see, I've got most of the actual cryo chamber proper assembled. I'm starting to apply the 3D graphics right now. You go ahead and build these out. And then I'm using contact cement to mount them. Now I'm going to tell you right now, the hardest part about this build, in my opinion, is mounting the inside, marrying the inside of the chamber with the outside. Like I said, I use contact cement, but if you're not 100% confident in your abilities to use contact cement, do not do it, because I about lost this project. I had a bonding problem when I tried to mount the inside, and I almost glued it together lopsided. I luckily was able to pull it apart with minimal to no damage, but I almost fucked up pretty big time. So I took my time and married them together. So you can't tell. There's a little bit of a blemish, but it's hidden very well. So just take care. If you're going to use contact cement, make sure you know what you're doing, because you could screw this up pretty quick and then waste a significant amount of money. So don't follow my advice on contact cement. Is all I'm trying to say. Unless you're a gunfighter. Gunfighters get shot sometimes, but luckily I didn't get shot this time. So anyways, I'm going through, like I said, I'm mounting out the 3D portions, like this little terminal here and these sides, and I'm letting it all kind of cure out, and then we're moving on down the road. So right now we've got the interior and the base done, and we're moving right along with this cryo tank build. Again, you know, there's a few things I don't like. Obviously, the line on the side here from the fold line, I don't like those. But it is what it is, right? We'll talk about all when I'm done with this build. We'll go over the pros and the cons of this kit. I'm trying to be as honest as I can about it, because I think it's important people know about products before they buy them. And I think it's important that people buy these things and review them, so you are aware of the pitfalls or the bonuses to them. So we'll come back and we'll have some more of this thing completed. All right, gang, we're back. So this is the completed cryo tank. Before we take a quick tour of this thing, I want to go over a few little tidbits. First of all, if you do buy one of these, it comes with this template for your scoring of the canopy plastic. Be very careful when you do that. I actually cracked mine. The plastic is a little brittle, so I had to discard this and get a brand new piece of plastic, which is easy to do. It's just like a transparent overhead sheet like we used to use a long time ago on overhead projectors. And made myself a brand new piece. A few other things. So I know that I mentioned that the lights bothered me a little bit. Well, on the bottom here, I went ahead and the directions weren't very clear on how to do the bottom. I just assumed that the bottom would open a certain way. So it opens to give you access to the battery compartment here, and we'll turn the lights on, and you can see these really cool LED blue lights. Now the lights, I know I mentioned I didn't like the unfinished look of the holes. The lights are so vibrant that you can't even tell when they're on. So I'll give this a pass on that, sort of. So here it is. It's all complete. I just finished up the opening face shield portion, or the cryo tank open portion. It's cool. I really like the way that turned out. So let's talk about this a little bit. Let's go over the downside, or the things I don't like about this. First off, let me back this up so we can see it. First off, coming in at $80 MSRP, I think that's a little pricey for this project, and I'm going to tell you why. But first off, I understand why it's pricey. I'm not knocking any of that. I'm just saying I think this is a little pricey for what you get. Reason being, the first knock I have is actually the crease lines on the actual product when you get it. The sheets are folded, and I don't like that at all. I think that's not a very good attention to detail, and I really feel like they need to remedy that. If they're going to sell this for $80, I think you ought to get a perfectly good set of sheets to cut out from the start. So these should be done differently and shipped differently. I don't like the fact that they're folded. Second, it's difficult if you're not really good at something like this to put this together and make it perfectly symmetrical all the way around. So, but that's not really a knock on it. The paper and the printing on it is really good, but I wish it would be on a different, more glossy paper. But again, you know, that would probably drive the price of an already overpriced item up. So it looks nice when it's completed, I'll tell you that right now. A few other knocks I don't really like. Some of the small 3D components don't fold very well. I get it, they're so tall or small and intricate that it's hard to make them fold extremely well. But other than that, you know, and the holes. I think the holes for the back here should be pre-cut. I feel like, but that would be another probably issue that, you know, Randall or Cotswold will have to address, and I doubt they're really going to be interested in doing that, especially when I just mentioned that when the blue lights are on, you can't even tell. So those are just, other than really my biggest issue is the crease lines with the kit when it comes. I just don't like that at all. I think it's starting off, it makes it look kind of shitty, and I think that's a design error in my opinion. That shouldn't be an issue. The pros of this, this is a big piece of equipment when it's done. This is really big. This thing stands, let me get my ruler here. On the base, it's over a foot tall. And, you know, at the widest portion, it's around, shoot, almost 8 inches. And depth-wise, you know, it's around 8 inches as well. So it's a really big item. It's also versatile in the fact that, you know, you can display it in different type of arrays. Like here, it can do a side tank display, which I think is laid on its back. It's very nice when it's all done. And if you do it correctly, here's the back here. I'm sorry I didn't show you that. If you do it correctly and take your time, you can pretty much make a good product. Now, I don't think this is a kit for everybody either. If you're going to attempt to do something like this, I would definitely not start off with the cryo tank. I would start off with one of their more simple designs to get yourself more acclimated to the actual process of putting this together. This is probably, I've looked at a lot of their other paper build items, and this is, in my opinion, probably the most complex one. You're definitely going to spend a lot of time here. Let me show you. A lot of time cutting things out. So there's all the debris from this build today. As far as putting it together, I definitely recommend a metal straight edge and a very sharp razor knife and a good pair of scissors. And also, when you cut all these out, it's good to have like a black marker, a big Sharpie to like cut or put on the lines here so you can kind of mask some of the white paper lines. But other than that, you know, other than the things I didn't really like about it, I think it's a really cool piece. My original intent when I first envisioned doing this was to eventually make a modular G.I. Joe base at some point, maybe next year, and buy almost all the paper products that Cotswold makes over the course of the time I'm making the modular base, and then have them all work together. I still think I might do that, even though there's some things about these I don't like. But I definitely have a different feeling about it since I actually built one. It wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but that's okay. Usually nothing is. Another thing I would probably do is for this cryo top here, I might add a small piece of light Velcro to keep this fastened. But other than that, I think it's a really cool piece, other than, you know, the downsides and the stupid fold marks from those from it being shipped. $80, in my opinion. This is just me. Like, I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings about this. I think $80 is too much for this. I think it's around 50 is what I would probably pay. But I understand why they have to charge that stuff. You know, Cotswold's a small business, and Randall is as well. And sometimes when you get boutique type items like this, you just got to pay a little more. And I understand that better than anybody. Making things myself and charging, you know, or selling them for way more than what I think they ought to go for. And also buy a lot of other boutique items from small manufacturers, and I'm not upset when I have to pay a little more. It's just sometimes things can be disappointing, and there's just a few things on this that were disappointing to me. But other than that, I think it's a cool item. It's definitely not for everybody. Do your research. I'd start with a smaller, more simple project from them before you tackle something like this. Obviously, I had to buy this because I need it for a photo story. So kind of it was a necessity for me. And other than that, guys, I apologize for not doing a lot of the construction on camera, but I don't really have a setup down here to do that. So I know people get irritated with my videos because I just don't do a lot of stuff on camera. But, you know, like I said, I'm not the Discovery Channel. But all that being said, I do hope you liked this build review video, and I hope it gives you an idea of what these items are and what they look like when they're completed and what it takes to make one. So like and subscribe to the page, guys. Hit the notification icon. I look forward to hearing your comments. Share this video. I do like these projects. I do like the paper stuff. I understand what they are. I think ultimately they're really cool, but they're just not for everybody. But I definitely plan on getting more. And each one I do get, I will do a video on making it, because I don't see a lot of these. I've never seen any videos of these. So I think it's cool for me to buy some of these items that people aren't familiar with and try to get my opinion and what I feel about them out there. So shout out to Cotswold Collectables and Randall at Art Lab. You guys are, you know, the head of the spear when it comes to keeping our hobby alive. And, you know, even though I don't like certain things as much as I want to like them, it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate everything you guys are doing. And I think you guys are doing an amazing job. So, guys, I hope everybody's doing great out there. Keep fighting the fight. Keep living the adventure. Until next time, cheers. All right, guys, real quick, I forgot to share with you, there's a bonus part of this video, what a guy actually looks like in here. I just realized I didn't put anybody in there. So there you go. There's an actual Elite Brigade G.I. Joe with the vintage head in here to give you kind of a size reference. So pretty rad, guys. Pretty rad.